Sometimes interest rates, depending on what the market looks like, can be up to like 18%, which is absolutely ridiculous. What's good, YouTube? I hope you guys are doing well. Today's video is gonna be a fun one because today I'm gonna be talking to you guys about student loans. And obviously I've been making tons of student loan debt videos on my channel as I've been documenting my experience paying off my own student loan debt. And I've gotten so many questions from you guys about student loans, about the things that you guys need to know before you guys take out student loans. And I thought I would finally just sit down and film a video on everything that I wish I knew before I took out my student loans, because let's be real, like, they don't teach this stuff in school. And I know for me, when I got into student loan debt, I really didn't know what I was doing. And you know, even my parents, they were a really helpful resource, but things were different when my parents were in school. Like, school was a lot cheaper, right? So I don't know, I feel like no one really talks about the things that you really need to know before you get into thousands of dollars of student loan debt at such a young age. So hopefully this video will be a really good resource for you guys. I am going to be doing timestamps in the description box down below, so if you guys want to follow along based on the topic, you can do that as well. So let's go ahead and jump right in. First things first, if you guys don't already know what student loans are, basically they are a sum of money that you are borrowing either from the government or from a private lender, and they're distributed to you by your college through your financial aid package. And the way that you receive financial aid from your college is by filling out a FAFSA. So every single year, there's something called a FAFSA form. I can't remember what it stands for, but every single year you should be filling out that form to basically tell the government how much money you'll be needing from them. Once you fill out the FAFSA, your college is going to determine what your financial aid looks like, and they'll distribute it to you. And a lot of colleges will either offer you scholarships, grants, or student loans, right? And so obviously in that order, you really want to see how much money you're being offered, right? So scholarship is the best way to receive money from a college. A scholarship is free money that either your college or another organization is giving you to basically go to school, right? So your scholarships are great. If you get offered any scholarship money, you obviously want to take it. Grants are pretty great as well. Grants are usually offered to you by the federal government, and that's usually free money as well. There are some grants that I will say that you do have to pay back, but most grants are offered to you based on your financial need. And then the third thing that you can be offered is a student loan. And usually you can be offered a student loan through, again, either the government or through a private lender. So when you receive your financial aid from your college, the amount of money that you're being offered in student loans, all of those are going to be federal or government student loans. And the thing that's really important to know about government loans is that the amount that they are offering you is a capped amount, meaning that you can either deny the amount that they're offering you or you can decrease the amount that they're offering you, but you cannot go above it, right? So that's really, really important to know. The main thing about government loans that I will say is that they are better than private loans, and I'll cover why a little bit later, but just know that they are definitely better. And so when you do get offered them, you definitely do want to accept as much as you need from them before you turn to private loans to take them out. So there's 4 different kinds of government loans that you can be offered, and they're all very different. So it's really important to make sure that you look at which kind you're being offered, because it does make a difference in how much you're gonna have to pay off. So the first kind of loan that the government can offer you is a direct unsubsidized loan. And these loans are the kinds of student loans that accrue interest while you're in school, versus a direct subsidized loan, which is a student loan that does not accrue interest while you're in school. So obviously direct subsidized loans are better than direct unsubsidized loans. And the really shitty thing about interest, if you don't already know, is that interest is basically money that you're being added onto your loan for borrowing that loan, right? So you have the principal amount of loan that you're borrowing, which might be like $5,000. And then your interest on your loan might be like 5%. That amount of money is being added onto your loan every single year as a cost for you borrowing that money, right? So every single year that you have not paid off that principal, you are getting a 5% interest added onto that loan as a charge, right, for borrowing that money. So it's a lot better to have a direct subsidized loan because your interest is not accruing while you're in school, whereas an unsubsidized loan, the interest is accruing while you're in school, right? So you're gonna have to end up paying more money. So Those are the first two kinds of loans the government can offer you. The third kind of loan is called a PLUS loan, which is, I don't remember what it stands for, but it's basically a parent loan. The thing about PLUS loans that's really important to know is that PLUS loans do require you to have really good credit. They do run your credit and check your credit history before you can take them out. So that's why they're usually considered a parent loan, because usually only your parents can take them out, right? So PLUS loans are cool, again, because they are government loans. The interest is pretty low compared to what a private loan would be, and usually FAFSA will offer you more in PLUS loans than they will in anything else, right? So for me, for example, FAFSA offered me about $5,000 both in subsidized loans and in unsubsidized loans, and then they offered me about $10,000 in PLUS loans. And I will say, for me personally, my parents did not want to sign a loan for me, so they did not let me accept the PLUS loans at all. So I had to completely decrease my PLUS loan amount to zero, and I just went ahead and accepted my subsidized and unsubsidized loans. So really talk to your parents and really figure out what your situation is going to look like, because if you do get offered PLUS loans, they can be really good, but your parents do have to be willing to sign off on them. And I think the interest rate is a little bit higher than what the subsidized and unsubsidized interest rate is. That was how it was when I was in school, but I'm not sure if that has changed. Some other things that are really important to know about federal loans is that in most cases, again, you will not need a cosigner. So again, with the subsidized and the unsubsidized loan, you do not need a cosigner, but for a PLUS loan, you probably will. The other thing that's really important to know is that interest rates are usually fixed when you take out government loans, which basically means your interest rate while you're in school is not going to change. So that's a really, really good thing, because you don't have to worry about your interest rate increasing while you're in school, because you already know, like, okay, this is how much money is going to be added onto my loan each year, and that amount is always going to stay the same. So that's part of why federal loans are better, is because, again, interest rates are fixed, whereas for private loans, they're not. And the other thing about federal loans is that usually their interest rates are a lot lower. So definitely take as much as you need from your government loans before you turn to private loans. And I would definitely suggest only turning to private loans if you really, really need it. So let me kind of dive into what private loans are now. So private loans are basically loans that you would be borrowing either from a bank, a private lender, like a credit institution, or even sometimes a school, right? So private loans are basically any kind of loans that you are not borrowing from the government, right? So private loans, of course, like I said before, they usually do have a higher interest rate. The other thing that's really important to know about private loans is that the interest rates for private loans are usually variable, which basically means that the interest rates on your loan are going to fluctuate with the market, right? Sometimes interest rates, depending on what the market looks like, can be up to like 18%, which is absolutely ridiculous. So you have to really think about, like with government loans, you don't have to worry about your interest rate changing, whereas for a private loan, you really have to keep an eye on what your interest rate looks like, because if it gets up to 18%, you're gonna be owing a lot of money on your loans. It's probably not gonna get that high, but sometimes it really can. So really keep that in mind. The other really important thing to know about private loans is that you do need a cosigner to pay for them or to take them out, which basically means if you don't pay off your loans, then your cosigner is the one responsible. So you really need to keep in mind that you do need to have someone who is going to be willing to co-sign for you, and they do have to have pretty good credit, or else you will maybe not be able to take out as much as you need for your private loans. The other really important thing to know about private loans is that a lot of them will make you start paying while you're in school. So for example, for the private lender that I signed up with, they did make me do a plan where I basically had to pay off my interest while I was in school. So I basically was paying about like $75-ish a month. So that was like a bill for me while I was in school. So do keep that in mind, that private lenders, it's another reason why it kind of sucks, is that they do start accruing interest obviously while you're in school, and a lot of them do want you to start paying on your interest while you're in school. Whereas again, a government loan, if you're doing a subsidized loan, your interest isn't accruing until after you graduate, right? So do keep that in mind. The other important thing about private loans though is that federal loans, while they are capped, so while they do offer you a limited amount of money, private loans, most of them will let you take out a lot more than the government will, right? So for me, for my private loan lender, I was able to really take out however much I needed. So for me, for example, again, when I went to go study abroad for a summer in Barcelona, my school didn't really offer me that much financial aid at all, and I still wanted to go even though I didn't really have a way to pay for it. So I was able to take out all of that money through my private lender. So do keep in mind that you have a lot more money available to you through private lenders, whereas with the federal government, based on what your FAFSA looks like, you have a way more limited amount. The next thing I'm really gonna cover is how much should you borrow? Just overall in student loan debt, how much do you need to take out? Obviously, I'm gonna say this, you guys, only borrow what you need, because you have to really consider, like, you are paying extra money to borrow the money that you're borrowing, right? Because you're paying interest, right? So because you're paying interest, it's not like you're just taking out money for free. So I really suggest you guys to really sit down and plan out and figure out how much you need, so you're not taking out way more than what you actually need to pay for school, right? So the way that I suggest you guys do this is to first, again, calculate how much you need for tuition, housing, books, and just overall living expenses at the college you're gonna be at. It's obviously gonna vary by what college you go to, it's gonna vary by what city you live in, and most colleges do provide you what that number is, right? So most colleges do give you an estimate of what your overall cost of living is gonna be going to college. So really look at that number and figure out, okay, where am I lacking? Like, what can I do? Sit down, make a plan. If your parents are helping you and are supporting you a little bit, sit down with them, make a plan, and really figure out how much you can pay out of pocket and how much your scholarships and grants are going to cover and how much money you really have left over that you're really going to need to take out in student loans. I really suggest you guys sit down and also plan out some side hustles or some jobs that you guys can work to earn some extra money while you're in school, so that you guys can decrease the amount of student loan debt that you guys are taking out. You guys know I have tons of videos on my channel about college side hustles, different jobs that you can work, and you guys know me myself. When I was in school, I was able to cut my student loan debt in half, basically, because the first year I took out student loans, I probably took out about $20,000 worth of student loans to pay for literally everything, right? I took out student loans to pay for my tuition, my housing, all the expenses that I had. I took out student loans to cover every single thing that I needed. So by the end of my freshman year, I was like, I cannot do this anymore. So I went and got my real estate license. I started working some other side hustles. So the rest of my college years, I was able to pay my own rent and to pay my other bills with the side hustles that I was working. And I only really had to take out money to pay for my tuition, right? So that basically allowed me to only take out like $10,000 a year in student loans versus 20. So really plan out, really figure out what jobs you can work, really figure out how you can build up multiple streams of income. Again, I have so many videos on my channel about it, so you guys can go check those out. Next thing that I suggest you guys do is obviously really plan, sit down and consider, okay, what do you want to do as your career? Because even if you have to take out a lot of money on student loans, you guys could end up in a career where you really don't have to worry about it. Like, paying off your student loan debt will not be an issue, but I really don't want you guys to be stuck in a position where you guys are buried in student loan debt and you're unable to pay them off, because it's going to be a really shitty position to be in. So really consider what it is that you plan to do as a career, consider what you're majoring in, and really make sure you guys are taking out a realistic amount of student loan debt that you can actually pay off, right? Because even if you can't pay it off in the first couple of years after you graduate, that's okay, but you don't want to be left with a degree that's not going to get you a good job at all and be buried in like hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt, right? Because it's just not going to be worth it. I have so many videos on my channel also about which degrees I think are worth the student loan debt, which degrees are gonna actually get you good high paying jobs to pay off your student loan debt. So definitely go check those out as well, because that's gonna be really important to plan out right now before, again, you bury yourself in debt and end up stuff. The very last thing that I suggest you guys do is to make sure that you guys read the terms and conditions of your student loans before you guys sign them. Make sure you guys have a really good understanding of what your repayment requirements are for your student loans, because you do not want to be left confused and lost by the time you graduate when you really figure out what's going on. So make sure you guys really understand the details, especially for private loans, because there are a lot of private loan lenders out there, and a lot of them will try to take advantage of you, especially because you're young and you may not know what you're doing. Your parents may not know what's going on. So definitely make sure you guys are reading the fine print and really knowing and understanding what your repayment requirements are before you guys sign your student loan debt agreements. So that's basically all the information that you guys really need to know right now before you guys take out your student loan debt. Obviously, there's a lot more information that's going to be really important when it comes to paying off your student loans, when it comes to taking out specific kinds of loans. So if you guys have any more questions, definitely let me know in the comments down below, because I can definitely make a part 2 to this video. I feel like there's so much information, I don't want to overload you guys, but I think this is a really good start, really good intro to student loans. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Of course, make sure you guys subscribe if you guys haven't already. I'm on the road to 10,000 subscribers, and you guys, if I make it before the end of this year, I have a giveaway coming, and I'm really excited about it. So make sure you guys subscribe, make sure you guys turn on your notifications so you guys don't miss any videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.